Schooled in the streets, lessons from Igbo Apprenticeship. The best way to learn business is to be in business. I saw this quote some weeks ago and I couldn't agree more. This is the third and final part of our mini-series on the utopian school system. In the last two notes, I've talked about some of the things that, in my opinion, make for holistic education. Starting with the home school, I shared some of the key skills I learned and the things I was exposed to at home that I was never taught in school. In the second part, I also talked about three important pillars of the utopian system of education, which include individualized learning, less emphasis on exams and more emphasis on practical projects, and lastly, apprenticeship. In today's notes, we'll be looking into an educational paradigm that blends these three pillars, the Igbo Apprenticeship system. The Igbo Apprenticeship system, or IAS, often referred to as Iba Boy, Imworu, or other similar names, is a traditional economic model originating from the Igbo ethnic group in southeastern Nigeria. It's a structured form of business mentorship where an established business person known as the Oga or Master takes in a young apprentice, often called Mwa Boy, to teach them the ins and outs of running a business, with the end goal of setting the apprentice up with the requisite skills, capital, and support to start their own enterprise after a period of time. The system is particularly known for fostering entrepreneurship and has played a significant role in building wealth within the Igbo community. It is also globally recognized and has often been cited in case studies, entrepreneurship modules, and discussions about economic development and wealth generation, particularly in well-known organizations like the Harvard Business School. This subject is exciting for me because I am Igbo and I have a bit of practical apprenticeship experience in more than 3 scenarios, even though not necessarily with identical characteristics to the Igbo apprenticeship model. When I was in secondary school, I learned phone repairs and later laptop repairs under informal settings. Between my undergraduate days and shortly after I graduated, I also worked with an electrician as an apprentice, another informal setting. And perhaps the one that aligns most closely with the IAS modeling is my apprenticeship with my own father, who is himself an Igbo businessman. This spanned at least 15 to 20 years from childhood to adulthood. So how does the IAS work? You serve as an apprentice or Mwa Boy under your Oga for a while, ideally 5 to 7 years, which is similar to the time it takes for someone to earn a university education, particularly a professional course. You learn a lot more than just theories written in books. As a matter of fact, you may not get to read anything like a textbook in those years of training. Your textbooks are your everyday experiences and the mentorship you get from your Oga. There are no written exams. Your exams are rather practical, as your character, integrity, negotiation skills, and ability to cut deals will be tested over time, among other things. The skills you learn in this environment are largely different from what you'd learn in a typical formal education system. But by merely being in such an environment, you're exposed to the ins and outs of how to run a practical business. You learn bookkeeping, salesmanship, and negotiation. Your financial intelligence grows. You learn how to be street smart. You learn how to do business with other people's money. And you learn how to create wealth from literally nothing, even without directly owning any goods, by earning commissions as a middleman. All of these build you up to become a full-blown business person by the time you graduate. Nobody gives you a certificate because you don't need it in the first place. The certificate is a practical certificate that is evident from the exponential growth that awaits you in a relatively short time after you earn your freedom. Kind of like your graduation. You're given freedom to chase your dreams and explore the world beyond what you have learned in that school. And you form the character and learning that is required for you to thrive. If this isn't education, I wonder what is. Not just the character and learning, you've gradually developed the millionaire mindset. So when your Oga gives you freedom and settles you with seed capital, he's sure that the money won't go to waste because you already have the right mindset and blueprint to succeed. The money only serves as a leverage to increase the speed of your growth, but without it, you will still be able to build your own empire out of next to nothing. The reason I decided to talk about the Igbo apprenticeship system today is just to paint a practical scenario of an educational system that has worked for centuries, even before formal education became very popular in the geographical areas where this system is practiced. Does the IES have its flaws? Absolutely. Just like formal education, this system also has challenges. One of such is that many people who pass through it do not have a good balance of formal education that is needed to more easily navigate certain economic sectors that require modern tools and technologies. There is also the issue of unwritten agreements, which may result in exploitation and conflicts, among other things. Nonetheless, there are lots of benefits that this system offers, as I have outlined. And so in line with this, let me now address something openly. I was asked an interesting question a few days ago stemming from the apprenticeship component of the utopian system that we talked about on our last notes. What if your child decides to ditch formal university education and instead go to become an apprentice? Would you support it? Just to be clear, I have never advocated for formal education to be abolished. I stated this very categorically in our last notes. I do not think that one model is inherently better than the other. Each has its pros and cons, and it all depends on your end game. I've said this before now, that although I believe that everyone should have an entrepreneurial mindset, not everyone is cut out for business, and some people will do better sticking to the traditional 9 to 5. So I honestly may not be able to give a blanket yes or no answer to this question, because everyone has peculiar abilities, and my child and I can have conversations to figure out the best path to take, laying out all the cards on the table. But I'll state again that my ideal system combines the strengths of both worlds to create a utopian world that works for everyone and where education is truly holistic and enjoyable. I believe that in the foreseeable future, more institutions will adjust their curriculum and learning strategies to support such a system. But even though we may not have a one-stop shop for acquiring such education with everything I have described over these 3 episodes, it's important to note that a holistic approach to education would address emotional, social, and intellectual development. It will cover skills like practical entrepreneurship, financial and emotional intelligence, communication, presentation and leadership skills, salesmanship, how to sell products or services and sell yourself, how to make independent decisions and pick up new skills. And it will also cover negotiation skills, which, by the way, goes beyond money. You could negotiate your way out of a difficult situation. These, among other things, are, in my opinion, essential for education to be considered holistic. If your education is missing any of these components, it's good to find ways to learn and pick them up on your own. It takes time to acquire and hone these skills. Certainly won't happen in one day, but you can start from somewhere. Reading good books can help. A lot of the knowledge that exists in the world is contained in books. It's important to seek mentorship and guidance from people who have gone ahead of you in whatever field you are trying to play. You also need to remember that no single individual, institution, or course can teach you everything you need to know. They can teach you the basics, but as you face real-world challenges, you need to pick up and learn skills required for the specific problems you face, which in many cases will be different from the problems faced by your mentors. As I said in the first part of this mini-series, I believe that good education begins from the home school. And so my final word is to you who is a young parent or who hopes to be one tomorrow. As a parent, you must understand that it is not what you leave to your children that counts the most. It's what you leave in them. And so if you understand this principle, you'll spend less time striving to build generational wealth and more time building the character and mindset of your children and guiding them towards creating their own wealth. This is the greatest generational wealth you can bequeath to them. I believe that this utopian system of education is possible. It currently exists in bits, but in just a matter of time, it will be fully functional and popularized. And I also believe that the coming generation will benefit from a system that is far better than the one we have now, one that will support them to achieve their highest potential. It will be great to get your thoughts on this. And if there are other components you think we need to have in the utopian system that have not been mentioned in this series, you can leave them in the comments. That being said, this is where we wrap up for today and for this mini-series. I do hope it was worth your time, and I thought that you'll share it with a friend. Have a lovely week, and until I come your way again, keep being amazing. My name is Murphy. Nnamdi Ochuba.